I'm Renny Thomas. I'm an anthropologist of science, and I currently work at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences in the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research in India. I teach sociology and anthropology of science to students from both undergraduate and postgraduate students. And I'm most largely interested in questions around science and religion, modernity, science and atheism, and the list goes. I want to talk about actually a very brief genealogy of my association with INSBS. I was part of the first INSBS conference held in Manchester. Now, in 2017, when I came, I was still thinking about my book and I presented my initial ideas. It was really, really fruitful to get comments and insights from scholars from different parts of the world. So, the book is actually titled Science and Religion in India Beyond Disenchantment. It was published in 2021, actually. My book was essentially an ethnographic work based in a laboratory in the southern part of India, Bangalore. I was trying to understand how scientists negotiate their everyday religious life with their science. The scientists were mostly natural scientists in the sense that they're biologists, chemists, and physicists. But, I'm an anthropologist, I'm an ethnographer, so I was based in a chemistry lab for a year. In terms of their religious identities, they're mostly Hindus of a particular religion and caste, but you also have scientists from other religious backgrounds. In my work, what I was trying to argue is how there is a limitation of the available frameworks to understand science and religion, which is mostly coming from very Eurocentric understanding. So, in my field work, what I have realized and found, based on my ethnography observation, is that we need to really go beyond that actually, where scientists are actually, most of them were very, very religious in that sense. When you speak to, for example, physicists and especially theoretical physicists, there is a way in which they negotiate actually their religious beliefs by saying that, we have theoretical physicists actually. We are looking for infinite actually in physics, but that's exactly what spirituality does. But what's interesting to note here is the physicists, especially, try to really look for an identity which is not really religious. They would call it spiritual. And the spiritual therefore gives them a special identity of being scientists. And the scientists actually then believe very differently from the non-physicists and also the non-scientists. So there's a certain sense of distinction that they make. So what I want to basically look at, and also something that I have looked at, is that when scientists actually take up science, right, they do want to do really an international standard science, right? So they might be religious, but at the same time, they really don't want to really compromise on their science because these are scientists who are aspirational in many ways, and these are people who studied in the best institutions in the world. So they want to contribute to the international science, and that's what they long for. So there is no way that they negotiate actually with their scientific identities. They all want to be the best scientists in the field, actually, right? When we think about science and belief and how different locations respond to the question of science and belief very differently. So my work was essentially an attempt in that regard, how Indian scientists really look at. So, this can be used as a framework to also look at how scientists actually, deal with the question of science and belief in different contexts. We need to have more anthropologists actually entering in laboratories. Only then actually these kind of studies are possible. But there are various limitations to do these kind of studies because you need to first actually convince the scientists that what you do has some meaning and value. And it all depends on the conversations, the scientists and their generosity. And if we are able to convince them, then it is absolutely a great thing. But it's really difficult in our times, because not much ethnographies are actually happening. So, as STS scholars, we know that there has to be more conversations between, scientists and non-scientists. So, after my book, of course, I collaborated with a feminist science studies scholar, based in India, Gita Chadha. So, we have done a book which is titled "Mapping Scientific Method: Disciplinary Narration." And what we have done is to really have invite actually scientists from different disciplines to talk about what is scientific method, what is its past and future. So, I think that was possible also because of the fact that we, scholars who are part of STS believe that there has to be more conversation between scientists. We shouldn't treat scientists as a different tribe, but we should work with them. And that's the only way that we can actually enter in the sites of knowledge production, which I think is very, very important for STS, history of science and anthropology, etc.